Hello, my friends. I have made a little presentation, as you have requested, about my four-dimensional model to explain to you how this might help you in your daily practice. So here goes. This is the four dimensions of existence as I have written about it in many of my books, and I'll give you some bibliography at the end. So this is Emmy van Deurzen speaking, existential therapist and founder-director of the New School of Psychotherapy and Counseling, Existential Academy and Dilemma Consultancy, and also president of the Existential movement. So the existential worldview, my friends, is that life is never simplistic. And it cannot be understood in a dualistic way because it's not binary. It is complex and it is diverse and always paradoxical and always multi-dimensional, multi-layered, dynamic, and interconnected in lots of different ways. So I don't espouse dualism, nor materialism, nor idealism, but what I call dimensionalism. And really, that is a search for the complexity of truth wherever we're going to find it. The dimensions of existence that I usually speak about are fourfold. And you can think of it in that sort of Maslowian way as a pyramid underpinned by the physical world, the Umwelt, meaning the world around you, where you deal with life and death. You use your sensations and you act in the world in relation to an environment through your body, handling things, and it's all about survival. On top of that comes the dimension of the social world, the meet world, the world with other people. And at that level, the tension is all about love and hate. You use your feelings to orientate yourself. You build relationships. You have a sense of belonging and acknowledgement that you pursue. The medium is communication, and in that process, you deal with other people. Then there is the next level, which is that of the personal dimension, the Eigenwelt, your own world, your inner world, if you prefer. And it's all about handling your strength and weakness, learning to work with your thoughts and memories, shaping the tension between wanting a strong identity and wanting freedom at the same time. It's about your selfhood and your me. On top of that is the spiritual dimension, the Überwelt, the world above. It is kind of what organizes everything and where there is this struggle between what we think of as good and evil. You use your intuition to orientate yourself. And this is all about what values you work with, what beliefs you have, what purpose you pursue in your life, and how you create meaning. It's about your worldview and the ideas. But there is an easier way to understand this, which is to think of how you feel about this inside of you, how you have fourfold encounters with life, with the world. And that is very intimately inside of you, at that core, is your sense of your spiritual core, your spirit. Some people might call it their soul. Existentialists sometimes think of that as an empty vacuum inside of them, which they can organize any way they like, with the meanings they attribute to the world. Around that is a layer of your eigenwelt, your inner world, your selfhood, where you create a sense of at homeness, a sense of who you are, a sense of trusting your inner self that you can always withdraw to, no matter what happens in your life, my friend. And around that, you create your social world, the midworld, the world with other people, which some of those people you may allow into your inner world, but always be careful about your boundaries. Are you ready to trust this person with your inner world, or do you have to remain with them in that social layer? And beyond that is the physical layer, the layer of, actual material life on the earth, on this planet, within a cosmos. It is where we live with the world of action, the world of objects, the world of things that need to be done for survival. And that leads to death, obviously, ultimately. So this is a summary, a simpler way of thinking about how you occupy space in your life. There's your physical, your social layer, personal layer, and then your intimate inner world. Beyond that, at the core, your spiritual experience. Physical about things, the social about others, the personal about the self, and the spiritual about ideas and meanings. Now, when you set the four worlds against those four dimensions, you get this framework of 16 things. So, the physical dimension of your encounters with the umwelt are about the earth, the climate, weather, seasons, animals, plants, shelter, hygiene, sleep, competence in facing danger, materiality, birth and death, sensory experience. But the physical dimension of the midworld, of the world with other people, is your encounter with physical things, the care for objects, learning crafts, technology, art. I'm not going to go through this whole 16 dimension thing. You can look it up in some of my talks, or you can watch the video again and take a screenshot of it or a picture with your camera, and then you can have a look at it. Here is another version of it that is a little bit more simplified, that doesn't have all these different things there. So this I will take you through. So the physical dimension is all about your survival. When you encounter things in the umwelt, it's about nature. In the midwelt, the with world, it's about things. In the eigenwelt, it's about your body. In the uberwelt, the spiritual world, it's about the cosmos. Now, the social dimension, when you are in that in an umwelt way, it's about your affiliation to the public world, the things that happen out there in public. In the midworld, it's about specific encounters with other human beings. And in the eigenwelt, it's about your encounter with your ego, this aspect of yourself that you create to go out there in the world, your persona, if you like, the thing that you mold to be able to get on with the tensions and pressures of being with others. And in the Uberwelt, the world of meaning, the spiritual world, it's about your encounters with culture and how culture sets a framework for all of your experience. Now, in the personal world, when you encounter the umwelt, it's about your private world. It's about this dimension that others cannot get into because it is where you have your thoughts, and your thoughts are your own. In the midwelt, it is about encountering me as an person who is seen by others as having this identity as this particular person. And in the Eigenwelt, it is about coming to terms with who I am, so the self, the I, if you like. And in the Überwelt, it is about your consciousness, encountering your capacity for taking awareness of everything that you live through. And finally, at the spiritual dimension, which is all about meaning, if you encounter the Umwelt, it is about thinking about what it means to encounter the infinite. In the Mietwelt, it is about encountering ideas. And in the Eigenwelt, it is about having a relationship to spirit, that which cannot be seen, but has a presence in terms of what is there in the world that we're still ignorant about. And maybe that which remains of you after your death as well, and of other people. And in the Überwelt, it is your conscience. It is about how you encounter the truth, how you reveal and allow yourself awareness of what is actually the case, what is actually true, and what we know so very little about. Now, applying the Four Worlds model to living with conflict and trauma will also help you. So, for instance, physically speaking, you need to seek safety when you're under threat and when you're afraid because you're meeting a threat. So it is about learning to trust your sensations and your stress and take care of that. It's about finding a natural environment that can support you, feed you, and soothe you, keep you safe, but that can also provide you with all the resources you need to become alive and stay alive in a physical way, so that you can sleep, for instance, and that you can explore your physical environment with some amount of safety. In the social world, it is all about learning to go beyond hateful, destructive, and competitive relationships, which are no good to you at all. And you have to learn to move away from those and not engage with them, and then eventually to initiate more cooperative relationships and to seek reconciliation where possible and collaboration always where possible, and belonging with like-minded allies. It is about learning to trust your emotions, to allow them to tell you where you stand in relation to approaching or removing yourself from relationships, and to learn to communicate to yourself and trusted others about those without reproach, resentment, and bitterness. The personal dimension, it is all about allowing things to strengthen your character instead of perceiving yourself as a victim or somebody who cannot cope. You are not helpless. You are an agent, and you can strengthen yourself. Learn to express your experiences through thoughts and memories and the feelings as well. And regain your sense of freedom, reclaim your sense of freedom in relation to whatever adversity you're dealing with. You will be learning to yield as well as to be resolute and affirm yourself. Sometimes yielding is the start of becoming resolute. At the spiritual level, It's all about integrating what is happening in your life, making sense of it, and putting it into a framework of reference that gives it meaning. And the more connections you make at that level, the better it is. So you will learn through difficult situations to change and improve your values, what you believe, because experiences teach you that you have had illusions and that you have to let go of those. And to be more purposeful because you get a clearer idea of what it is worth going for in life. And to create that framework of meaning more and more by putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It's all about learning to stick with what is true and to transcend temporary values towards more lasting ones. So finally, a recap. Your connections at the physical level are all about seeking harmony, using your skills, basing yourself in science, and acting in the world. You need to have a safe cosmos, a safe planet, a safe natural world, safe countries to live in, safe houses to find succor in and security in, and to engage in meaningful ways in earning your living and have health care whenever you are unwell. In the social world, your connections are all about learning to be fair, with affection, find your kinship and affiliation, be generous, and give to the world as much as you can, as well, of course, as receiving when other people are wanting to return the favor. You need good institutions to safeguard fair relationships. You need families or other groups around you to kind of support you and also to challenge you and provide you with intimate exchanges from which you can learn. You need rules to move around in the world, especially at work or in politics. And it all needs to be based in what is actually the case rather than in pretense or faking or making things seem better than they actually are. They're all about fair and square communication and good community. At the personal level, you need to build a sense of inner integrity and inner peace, which allows you to transform gradually and to become more at ease in a world in which you know how to keep yourself safe and how to hug yourself and look after yourself and do what is right for you. To be able to do this, you need education, you need support from others who can guide you. You need to find your creativity in whatever way you can use it, and you need to learn to be clear in the way you think about things. This is a long process. It's a long path, my friend. The arts will help you enormously to express things so that you don't get fractured or stuck, but it remains fluid and open. Philosophical thinking will help you think about issues that might otherwise confuse you, and you need to learn to use your leisure for relaxation and give yourself safe spaces in which you can sleep and rebuild your confidence to start again each day. And finally, at the spiritual level, you need great connections to a search for truth, for value, and for transcendence, for things that can hold smaller things together and encapsulate them, and that can be tied together by things that help you understand and help you know what leads to what and how things follow from each other, how determinism works, how freedom works, how life works. It's about seeking meaning in the world. For this, you need to be able to build a new vision and a new belief system rather than following some old dogma. So it needs to allow you to have freedom of what you believe, but you also need a joint framework of morality and a commitment to what is true for all of us and what is just for all of us and what allows all of us as much individual freedom as possible. So that's a very complicated equation to resolve, and there are not many people who have resolved that. That is very much a work in progress. Now, if this interests you, have a look at some of these books. My new book, of course, comes out in May next year, which will be called Beginning to Live, The Art of Existential Freedom. My most recent single-authored book was Rising from Existential Crisis, Living Beyond Calamity, which will help you especially with trauma, and Paradox and Passion in Psychotherapy, which gives you a very good grasp of how I work with the opposites at each of those dimensions and how I value the tensions those evoke. Existential Counseling and Psychotherapy in Practice, which is my first book, which is now in third edition, and which gives you a good overview of how to apply this to your own life or that of your clients. Everyday Mysteries is a more academic book that is very much for counselors and psychotherapists to get the philosophical background and to get the ideas as they apply to our field. My book, Psychotherapy and the Quest for Happiness, is a nice book that helps you think about what the purpose of life is and how it cannot be happiness, because happiness is only one of the stages on your way and is not an ultimate goal. Then there are two books I've co-authored with Claire Arnold Baker. One is a very little book called Existential Therapy Distinctive Features, which is a nice summary of the whole framework. And then there is the more recent book that came out this year called Structural Existential Analysis, a Phenomenological Method to Research Life, which is a research method that you can apply also to researching meanings in your own life, if you like. So there is a lot of material out there and a lot of other videos where I make these ideas more clear. Look particularly for my conference presentations. Put in Emmy van Deurzen conference presentations and you'll get loads more lectures that you can learn from. I hope this has been good and is an answer to your query about the 4 dimensions. Goodbye.